It started with a live stream and ended in blood. A young mother, caught between her past and her future, between trying to move on and someone who wouldn't let her. What happened inside that house wasn't just violence. It was control. It was jealousy. It was fear. And it was public. The world saw it unfold on a phone screen, but that wasn't where it began. It started long before that, before the cameras, before the threats, before the gun. This is the story of Ranita Williams, a woman with a family, with dreams, and with someone who refused to let her live in peace. And it's not just about one bad man or one bad moment. It's about the many chances to stop it, the warning signs, the silences, the missed chances to speak up. Ranita's story is about more than what happened on that live stream. It's about what we ignore, what we brush off, and what we sometimes see too late. This is not just a crime story. It's a true story. And the truth is, it could have been stopped. Before the live stream, before the headlines, before the horror, there was just Nunu. That's what everyone called her. Ranita Nunu Williams. She was born and raised in Shreveport, Louisiana. The baby girl of a tight-knit family. A daughter, a sister. Later a mother. But always Nunu. People say she lit up the room when she walked in. That she had one of those laughs you couldn't fake. Loud. Full. Contagious. She was the kind of person who would help you rearrange your whole living room on a Tuesday night just because you said you were tired of how it looked. She had a creative spark. Loved design. Color. Patterns. She had started her own little interior decorating hustle. Helped friends pick curtains, painted kids' bedrooms, turned old furniture into something fresh. And above all else, she was a mother. Her 3 children meant everything to her. Every decision, every struggle, every sacrifice was for them. She worked jobs that didn't pay much. Some days were hard, but she kept going. She was rebuilding, trying to give her kids what they deserved. Peace, stability, a home full of love. By 2018, she had moved back in with her mother. She was saving up. She had left a difficult relationship behind. She was healing, smiling again. She had started seeing someone new. She was posting more, laughing more, dancing again. She wasn't famous, not an influencer, not a celebrity. Just a woman trying to live her life, trying to be better, trying to move on. But behind the jokes and videos, there were things she didn't always say out loud. Some things don't show up in photos. Some things don't get posted. Like the weight of being watched, or followed, or blamed for trying to be happy. But this part of the story isn't about how she died. It's about who she was, before everything else. Ranita Williams was a mother, a daughter, a friend, a woman who made mistakes like anyone else, but who was trying, really trying, to turn the page. And for a little while it looked like she had. Her life wasn't perfect, but it was hers, and it mattered. Every piece of it. Every smile, every step she took forward. This is the story of Ranita Nunu Williams. And it didn't end the way it should have. Jonathan Robinson wasn't a mystery. He was known. Known to the police. Known to the courts. Known to women who had crossed paths with him. And known eventually to Ranita. His criminal record stretched back years. armed robbery, domestic abuse, possession of stolen weapons. He had spent time behind bars more than once. But when he was out, he didn't stay quiet for long. People who knew him say he could be charming one minute, furious the next. The kind of person who would show up uninvited, who wouldn't take no for an answer. He was the kind of man who made women feel small. He didn't hit every one of them, but he didn't have to. He knew how to control, how to isolate, how to make someone feel like walking away wasn't even an option. On social media, he posted like a man who had something to prove. Flashing weapons, flashing cash, talking about loyalty, disrespect, power. But under it all was insecurity, possession, rage, and a belief that if a woman left him, she owed him something. Ranita dated him on and off. Friends said it was never peaceful, never stable. One week he'd be buying her gifts. The next, breaking her phone or showing up angry because she didn't answer a call. There were fights, threats, breakups. But like a lot of women in similar situations, she kept giving him another chance. People asked her why she didn't just block him, why she didn't call the cops. But it's never that simple. She didn't want drama. She didn't want to make it worse. And maybe, deep down, she still believed he could change. But Robinson didn't want change. He wanted control. And when Ranita finally started moving on, really moving on, something inside him snapped. This isn't a story about love. This is a story about obsession. About a man who couldn't stand to see a woman choose peace without him. And about how that obsession grew darker, more dangerous, until it couldn't be ignored anymore. The signs were all there. The past, the patterns, the threats. But no one saw how close it had come, until it was too late. By early 2018, Ranita was done. She had finally ended things with Robinson. She was moving on, smiling more, posting again, talking to someone new. But Robinson didn't take rejection well. Not quietly. Not at all. He didn't just call. He blew up her phone. All hours. Pages of angry texts. Sometimes threats. Sometimes begging. One message said, "You gon' make me lose it." Another just said, "Watch." He'd show up at her house unannounced. Sit in his car out front. Wait. Once he followed her home. Another time, her family said he banged on the front door for 10 straight minutes. Her friends knew something wasn't right. Her sister told her to call the police. But Ranita didn't want to. She was scared. Not just of him, but of what would happen if she made it official. She thought maybe he'd calm down. Maybe it would blow over. To the outside world it looked like she was fine. Happy even. But Robinson saw those posts, and he took them personally. He thought she was making fun of him. Embarrassing him online. He started commenting too. Then deleting the comments. Watching. Always watching. This wasn't love. This was surveillance. Control. Obsession. She started changing her routine. Keeping curtains closed. Avoiding certain stores. Asking people to walk her to her car. The kind of things women do quietly without telling the whole story. There were no restraining orders. No charges. No paper trail. Just fear. And waiting. And hoping he'd get tired. Some threats don't just pass. They pile up. They build. They chip away at peace. They start to sound normal until they're not. Nobody wakes up thinking this will be the day it happens. They think he's mad but he'll calm down. They think he's not really gonna do it. They think he loves me, he just doesn't know how to show it. But anger doesn't always simmer down. Sometimes it boils over. Ranita didn't want to be a victim. She wanted peace. She wanted normal. But when someone refuses to let go, peace isn't always a choice. And by April 12th, the warnings weren't warnings anymore. April 12th started like any other day. But by 10 a.m., everything would change. Jonathan Robinson didn't come to talk. He came with a gun. He came with his phone. And he came with a plan. He had already made up his mind. This wasn't an argument. This wasn't a warning. It was a performance. And he wanted the world to see it. He made her go live. Made her apologize, not to him but to his new girlfriend. Because to him this wasn't about love. It was about control. About ego. About humiliation. People started watching. Friends. Strangers. People who knew her. People who didn't. It wasn't a show. But it looked like one. And Ranita sat there. Not crying. Not yelling. Just trying to survive. She was scared. But she was calm. Almost too calm. Because sometimes when you're facing 6 shots, fired in front of a screen, watched live, a woman killed while the world watched powerless. Someone watching the live stream called 911. Police responded fast, but not fast enough. When officers arrived, Robinson opened fire again. He shot at them from inside the house. Wounded one. He didn't run. He didn't hide. He stayed inside. For over an hour. It was chaos. The whole neighborhood locked down. People texting each other. What's going on? Is that Nunu's house? Was that real? By the time he surrendered, it was too late. Ranita Williams was already gone. Shot in her own home. In front of her own phone. In front of her children's photos. In front of everyone. Her family? They had watched it happen. On their phones. Powerless. Screaming at screens. Her children? Left without a mother. A woman murdered on camera. A crime committed in real time. But this wasn't sudden. This wasn't random. This was everything the world ignored. Everything she tried to keep quiet. Everything she hoped would just go away. What happened to Ranita wasn't just tragic. It was preventable. The signs were all there. And on April 12th they all came crashing down. With a rifle. A live stream. And a silence that came too late. The moment Ranita's life was stolen, the entire neighborhood became a battleground. Officers surrounded the house, SWAT teams deployed, and the world waited. But inside that house there was no more waiting. There was only terror. After firing on officers, Robinson didn't flee. He didn't try to escape. He barricaded himself inside. For over 80 minutes, the standoff escalated. For those 80 minutes, the police moved in carefully, cautiously. They knew Robinson was armed. They knew he had already fired. He wasn't just a suspect. He was a threat. Meanwhile, Ranita's family, they didn't know what had happened yet. They were just beginning to learn that their worst nightmare was unfolding before them. They didn't know that Ranita had already been shot, that the daughter, the sister, the mother, was gone. By now the world knew. Her name was everywhere. Headlines, Facebook, Twitter. Her last moments, captured forever on a live stream. But for her family, this wasn't just a tragedy, it was a reality they could not yet accept. After what felt like an eternity, Robinson finally surrendered. But when he walked out, it wasn't in defeat. It wasn't remorse. It was as if he had been expecting to be taken. His hands raised. His body was calm. But there was no apology. No regret. Just a quiet surrender. He didn't run. He didn't fight. He gave himself up without a word. The streets were quiet now. But the damage was done. Ranita Williams, the woman whose face had been seen by millions that morning, was gone. And the world had watched as it happened. For her family, the worst was just beginning. They had watched her life slip away on a screen, helpless, devastated as Robinson continued his life in the background. The life that led to this. The standoff may have ended in surrender, but the aftermath would go on forever. For her children, it was a moment frozen in time. The last time they saw their mother, it wasn't in person. It was on a phone screen. And nothing would ever be the same again. The street will never forget what happened. The people who lived here will never forget what they saw. The question remains, why did it have to go this far? And who could have stopped it? Ranita's story isn't just about how she died. It's about how she lived. How she was a daughter, a sister, a mother. It's about who she was before tragedy struck. It's about the parts of her story that were lost to the world because she was silenced. Her family lost a piece of their soul that day. But it wasn't just them. It was a community, a neighborhood, a world. Because Ranita's story, her life, is a story we all share, whether we want to admit it or not. What happened to Ranita was not a one-time event. It wasn't some random act of violence. It was a slow build, a string of threats, a cycle of control, a pattern that no one wanted to see until it was too late. Her children left without a mother, a young family torn apart, their world shattered. And what about the warning signs? What about the things that went unnoticed? The signs that told us something wasn't right? We ignore them. We look the other way. We don't ask the right questions. And then we wonder why we're too late. Domestic violence is rarely sudden. It doesn't explode out of nowhere. It's a slow, insidious build of power and control. A constant erosion of a person's self-worth. A gradual tightening of the grip. And in Ranita's case, it ended in the most public way possible. Where the world could see, but no one could stop it. The systems that are supposed to protect us failed her. The police didn't act until the shots were fired. The friends didn't act until she was already scared. The law didn't move until she was dead. But it doesn't have to be this way. It shouldn't be this way. Because Ranita wasn't just a victim. She was a mother, a sister, a daughter, a friend. She was someone we all should have protected. The pain her family carries is unbearable. It's a pain that never goes away. But Ranita's story doesn't end here. It can't end here. It shouldn't end here. Ranita's children will grow up without her. They will have to carry her memory, but they will also have to carry the weight of this loss. A weight no child should ever bear. But her story can still teach us. It can still show us what we're willing to ignore. What we're willing to let slide until it's too late. Renita's name deserves to be remembered for who she was. Not just for how she died. Her life mattered. Her love mattered. And her story, her fight, matters. Her name was Renita Williams. She was more than what happened to her. She deserved more than a live-stream goodbye. She deserved to be heard. She deserved a chance. If you find Renita Williams inspiring, don't forget to subscribe, like and turn on bell notification. Share with your friends and family so that they can know the dangers of toxic relationship. See you in my next video.